In this video, I'm sharing the biggest mistakes I or my friends and family have made while traveling India, so when you come here as a tourist, you won't make the same mistakes we did.
The rickshaw drivers are asking 600 to take me to Tabora. Hell no.
Hi, my name is Ivana and I've been traveling India since 2015 as a solo female traveler from the Netherlands, and now I even live here. Oftentimes, I'm joined by my friends and family. India being an adventurous country, one of the most adventurous ones in the world, I would say, of course, we've made some massive mistakes which I'd really like you to avoid. Whether it's you not getting scammed, finding that one amazing yoga resort, or safely venturing off the beaten path.
This is scary.
I really want you to have the best time here, so make sure to stick around and see all the 5 biggest mistakes to avoid during your India trip. One of the biggest ways I've managed the mistakes I've made or resolved them is to get help from local experienced Indian friends.
They work for a tour company, so they told Daisy that they were driving to Manali today. And Daisy was like, oh, Ivana wants to go to Manali, and they had 1 seat left, so...
Now, I understand that's not possible for everyone, so here's an alternative for you to get access to that kind of help. Fiverr is a digital marketplace for direct access to the world's most talented pool of freelancers. It's easy to use and trustworthy, which is extremely important when you're traveling India. Now, if you're thinking, trip planning with Fiverr? I can already tell you that Fiverr is the go-to marketplace to find someone to help you find a solution for whichever problem you encounter in your India trip planning. You can try it out for as little as $5 and see the difference it makes in your India travel plans. But don't just take my word for it. Let's try this out by seeing if we can find someone to help me not get scammed, find legit yoga resorts, not miss out on medical tourism, or make a fool of myself at an Indian wedding. I personally think that so many foreigner tourists get scammed in India because it is a completely different culture than their own, and it makes it very difficult for them to read the social cues to determine if something is a scam. So for instance, if the rickshawala tells you that his meter is broken or that the hotel that you booked burned down, how are you going to know if that is really true or not? And I personally still struggle with this. When earlier this year, my best friend Nadine visited Mumbai for the first time, we went to Juhu Beach. And I got scammed by a henna tattoo artist. Basically, she was supposed to put 2 tattoos of 50 rupees each on my best friend's hand. But then she showed us some different other patterns. And suddenly she started stamping away on her hand. And the total bill ended up being 300 rupees instead of 100 rupees. Now, that's the difference between $5 and $1. But still, yep, that happened to me even after living in India for almost 7 years. I've been to Juhu Beach many times, but still at the same time, I've never gotten a henna tattoo there. So I don't know how it works, and I couldn't make up from the body language if she was scamming me or not, or if she was genuinely confused. The truth about India is that each city and each place has its own scams, just like every city in Europe would have its own specific scams. You'd really need the help of a local to tell you about the scams and then know what to avoid. So let's try getting help from a Fiverr professional. For just $10, Shabazz agreed to send me a list with the most common scams in Mumbai because I'm not that familiar with the city yet. After just a few days, a whole list of scams arrived. I was very curious to go through this list because it was actually mentioning some scams that I had never heard before. But you know what? I'm very, very curious if the Juhu Beach scam is on there. So going through the list, mind you, look at number 10, Mehendi scams. In Juhu, be cautious of Mehendi artists who initially charge a small fee for a simple design, but then charge significantly more for additional designs or complete coverage. Always clarify pricing beforehand. Wow, Nadine and me definitely got scammed. I think this list is super helpful if you're visiting the city for the first time, so you're at least aware of the scams and how to avoid them. Speaking of scams, did you know that one of the areas foreign tourists get scammed the most in India is spirituality? Because for instance, if you're looking for a yoga resort, how do you know if it's a legit yoga resort or if they're just taking your money and doing some bogus rituals? Especially when you are flying all the way across the world for a spiritual experience in India, you really don't want to end up in a situation where your expectations are here and reality is here. Too often, I get asked what a legit yoga resort is. Where is yoga and meditation still practiced in an authentic way? Personally, I got extremely lucky because I just ran into my yoga school for my yoga teacher training back in 2015 randomly. But after having done just one yoga class in Rishikesh, which is the yoga capital of the world, I realized that it's so easy to walk into a spirituality tourist trap in India. This yoga class had 50 people in just one class. They were doing quite basic postures. However, the postures weren't being corrected by the teacher. So if you're doing something wrong, you can get a serious injury if that is not corrected.
Of course, you can look up yoga resorts and ashrams online, but sometimes they just look way better online than what they are in real life. Expectations versus reality gone wrong happens all the time. Also, reviews can be outdated or even worse, paid for. So how do you know which spiritual experience will be authentic and which one will be just a waste of your precious time and money?
Personally, until now, I have only taken recommendations for locals, or if it's international friends, they have to have been to the resort themselves for me to take a recommendation from them. However, right now, I'm going to try out if I can find a freelancer on Fiverr to recommend me a yoga resort for a friend of mine who's legit looking for a yoga resort with some specific requirements. The requirements that my friend has is 1 week yoga retreat. Yoga classes have to be included. It should be a maximum 1 hour transfer from the airport. Transfer should be available in the Goa or Kerala area, but she wants to be close to a beach. Meals should be included as well. She wants to go between November and January, and the budget is between 45 and 65K for the stay. However, she doesn't mind paying for the Ayurveda separately. This is a real life case of a friend who asked me for advice, and I didn't know because I'm not familiar with yoga retreats in Goa. And she did want to go to Goa more than Kerala.
For $20, I gave all of my friends' requirements to this Fiverr freelancer, and very quickly I had a first draft of possible resorts. Now, the Goa yoga resorts were missing because, to be fair, I also agree with the Fiverr freelancer. Goa is not the best place for yoga, meditation, or Ayurveda, but still my friend preferred it. So after a revision and some emails and phone calls, the best place to recommend turned out to be Nalanda. Mind you, I was baffled by this other resort charging $160 because for this money you can comfortably stay in a 5-star hotel and do yoga there. Also, some resorts didn't even reply, so I definitely saved my friend loads of frustration and time by giving this research to a Fiverr freelancer.
Another area in which I personally haven't ventured much because I see a lot of international tourists getting in trouble there, however I get a lot of questions about it, is travel in India off the beaten path.
For me, the only way to make this work was to go with a local travel agent, like when I went to Kamala in Mangalore or did a shoot in Nako. Most of the beaten path places in India are so extremely tricky to navigate that when you try to do it yourself, there's a risk of seriously getting hurt.
I would say the regular tourist path in India is already quite adventurous enough, especially if it's your first time coming to India.
Just Rajasthan or Kerala or Bengaluru or Pondicherry are really going to be loads of adventure. But if you really want to venture off the beaten path, there's one destination that I've had on my India bucket list for the longest of time, and I only want to go with a proper preparation. It's a destination that's supposed to be very safe, yet it's not very known to the masses of tourists.
One of my most professional travel friends has been there, and until this day she still gushes that Northeast India is one of the most special places that she has traveled to in her life. I personally have never been there, but if I would go, I would only go with the help of a local. So let's see if we can get some local help for travel off the beaten path in Northeast India on Fiverr.
For $40, I opted for the premium travel itinerary option because I really wanted to get information on all the nitty-gritty details of a trip to Northeast India. Within just a few days, I received an incredibly detailed day-by-day itinerary with even hotel recommendations, transportation information, places to see in each place, and a budget indication. I was still unsure about, for instance, a shared cab fee and the distance between the cities on the final day to catch a flight, so I asked some additional questions and received an updated itinerary very promptly. Truly, if you're going to Northeast India, this Fiverr freelancer linked in the description below is the best way to plan your off-the-beaten-path India trip.
We're almost at the final biggest mistake that you could make as an international tourist traveling to India for the first time. However, first we need to discuss medical tourism.
Most people think of India only as an adventurous, cultural, or outdoor destination. But did you know India has fantastic medical facilities as well? Indian doctors usually go to the UK, US, Canada, or Australia to study, and then they come back to work in India. The hospitals in big cities are amazing, but even when my dad had a serious health scare in Udaipur, quite a small place, they got his MRI scan, blood work, and all other tests done in 24 hours.
Once he got back to the Netherlands, he made an appointment for another checkup and he had to wait 6 weeks to see a neurologist.
I've previously reviewed a prime service of a hospital in Bengaluru as well, but also I went through pregnancy and gave birth in India. I've also heard of couples coming to India to get their fertility treatments or baby deliveries done here.
The tricky part about this is, how do you find the perfect place for your treatment, but also understand the medications that you're getting, and how do you tackle communication issues when it comes down to your treatment plan? The communication between doctors and patients is definitely different in Indian culture than in Western culture. So even though I recommend everybody to explore medical tourism in India, I also recommend getting local help to guide you through this process successfully. In order to make this easier for you, let's explore the options for getting help for medical tourism on Fiverr.
For just $5, this Fiverr freelancer seemed the perfect option to research some IVF facilities and treatments in Bengaluru. I know many people struggle with fertility, and treatments in the West can be incredibly expensive. Very quickly, I received a list of best facilities for IVF in Bengaluru with cost indications and doctor recommendations. The freelancer even explained that you can book a video consultation call, which is ideal if you want to explore more. Obviously, this research can be done for many other medical conditions, so it's a perfect gateway into the field of Indian medical tourism.
Finally, I have one biggest mistake left that international tourists make in India, and it's completely the plunk misslaan, as we say in Dutch, at Indian weddings.
Indian weddings are nothing like Western weddings and often have multiple ceremonies spread out over multiple days. It can be really difficult to understand the functions and how to dress for them if you have no Indian friends. The bride and groom, to be frankly, are usually also too busy with the wedding planning to help you out on the specific details of, for instance, your outfits or explain the functions that you're going to see at the wedding.
What you see here are actual screenshots from my brother who lives in Hong Kong, who was going to attend his first Indian wedding, and he was very excited about that, but also nervous because he didn't understand what the functions meant, what kind of ceremonies were involved, and especially not how he should dress and his wife for each ceremony. They didn't want to make a fool out of themselves. Now, obviously, I helped him through it, but it definitely required quite some examples from my end as well, which obviously is not a service that I can offer to anyone. But why don't we give this request to a Fiverr freelancer?
For $10, I requested this Fiverr freelancer to explain me all the Indian wedding ceremonies mentioned in the invite my brother had received and to make some outfit recommendations for each ceremony. In record time, I received this document explaining each ceremony and the appropriate attire with screenshots of an outfit as an example. Side note, this would mostly be for North Indian wedding, but nevertheless an absolutely great way to get advice and recommendations if you're attending your first Indian wedding soon. You should really try out Fiverr yourself for your India trip planning, as I think it's way more reliable than just randomly Googling something.
You can try it out for as little as $5 and see for yourself what kind of difference it makes in your India trip planning.
Click the link in the description to learn more or immediately try it out yourself.